Today I'm going to run a side-by-side comparison of a prompt, exact same prompt in Claude versus Codex. And my hypothesis with this experiment is that Claude is going to use up a whole bunch more tokens, and they're both going to do a great job. I love working with Claude. It does an amazing job, especially the new Opus 4.6 model. I haven't run a prompt against Opus 4.6 and had any compile errors. Whereas Sonnet 4.5, which is also amazing, and I use that most of the time, it sometimes leaves a few problems which needs to be resolved, which you then have to work through with the model, which increases the token usage. So I've created the prompt already, but first of all, we're going to have a look at, this is the starting line. So 0 on my 5-hour countdown and 92%. This is Claude, if you're not familiar with it, 92% for the weekly. So that's going to go up if it does hit 100, and I don't think it will. It'll probably go up about 5% is my guess, 4 or 5%. If it does go up, I've got overage here, and it should just keep going. And I've just got both for Claude and for OpenAI. It's just the Pro version that I have, not the Max. And so here we've got the 5-hour, it's at 98%, and the weekly at 67%. I've got a screenshot of that one so we can check. It's a bit harder to remember. So that's the starting point. The prompt. Let's have a look at the prompt. I'll just drag that in here. Let's go. Okay. Now, the actual details of the prompt isn't too important for the demonstration, for the test, but I'll just quickly run through it just out of interest. It's not as complex as some of the things that I've thrown at these models, but it should be complex enough to challenge it and take a little bit of time to work it out. So basically, the way my prompts are loaded at the moment, I had a theory of how it should work, and that theory I feel is now wrong, and I want to change it. So the theory was that each model has its own special instructions, best practices that you can apply. So I thought I could have a different version of each prompt targeted at each different model that I might use. But I don't think that's the right approach. Now I want to change it. So we just have the one prompt, and I decide what level of reasoning we need to run the model at. So nano, core, deep, and max. So that's essentially what that is saying. And some extra things like core is the default, and we want to add to configuration. In the configuration, I want to specify which prompts should use deep, max, or core. Or nano. By default, it should use core. So if it's not specified, then it will just use that. So that's pretty much what that's talking about. And this prompt loader service is one of the services that actually does the work. So it should check the configuration to see which model to use, and if it's not explicitly configured, go to core. Okay. So, I also want it to fix any existing unit tests and ensure there's new ones for the new 4 reasoning levels. All right, so that is the prompt. We'll drop it into both of these, and we'll see just how much tokens they both use. The other thing, it's not just that 5-hour and weekly maxes that we need to look at. There's also this, context window. And I find with Claude, that context window gets to 60, 90%, like it gets filled up really quickly. But with the Codex, it fills up far slower. So I can have more of a conversation with it without having to worry about the model needing to compact the conversation, which uses more tokens. So we'll see that as well. This is new, this extra high. I'm going to run it on extra high, so it's using the absolute maximum. High was what was there before, so that's the one I've tried previously. This extra high is literally today. It's dropped, so let's run it and see how they go. Don't want to ask before edits. Here we go. I'm not going to record whilst it works. So we'll come back once we've got some questions from the models or something similar like that. So they're both chugging away, working through the task. I just thought I'd very quickly, whilst they're doing their work, I didn't confirm which model it is. So I'm just using Sonnet 4.5, not even using the Opus 4.6, which is obviously much more token hungry. So yeah, I'll just let them continue. Okay, so the results are in. It took Claude Sonnet 4.5 about 11 minutes to finish, and it took Codex about, or just shy of half an hour. So much longer to run, but I did have it on that maximum thinking mode. Where did it go? Oh, it's gone. Oh, there it is, extra high. So we have it on there. I would normally run this sort of task on high. I don't think it needs extra high. But so a couple of different results. I think Claude finished so quickly because it ran out of context space. You can see down here, oops, wrong button, 91% used. So, and it says that, you know, I've got these remaining tests to do. You wanted me to fix these as well. And so I think it's realized that it is about to run out of context window space and stops. The other reason why I think that is if I try and build what Claude did, I get 14 failures. And that would probably be fairly quick and easy to fix those failures, but it would take another, you know, chunk of tokens with Claude 4.5, probably in a new window because it doesn't compress. Compress seems to consume your tokens so much faster. So kind of feels half-baked, didn't finish off what it was doing. So maybe that's why it was only 11 minutes. It made 19 file changes and the Codex made 24. I'm not going to do any code comparison. This is more about the token usage and I guess to a degree just the completion of the task. When I built the Codex result, that is that works, build succeeds, and I assume the tests would succeed as well. And let me just bring these two screenshots in. So this was the starting context, token availability. So 98%, so it down to 84. So it's used 14% of my 5 hourly token, which seems pretty reasonable for the, you know, half an hour worth of work. And the weekly, it's dropped it by, you know, 5%. So that's a lot of work that it's done just there for 5%. And Claude's about the same, so 94%. So only gone up a couple percent, and 23% for the 5 hour countdown. Again, it's not finished. For me to then go through a couple more cycles with it to resolve the errors, to complete the tests, it's going to definitely push it over the 94% for the weekly limit and very close to the 100% for the 5 hour. So even though Codex took a lot longer, was working for far longer, the token usage seems far more reasonable. Now, interestingly, it did hit the limit of its context window. And again, I think that's because it's extra high. I've never seen it hit the context window maximum on the first shot of the prompt on high. So extra high was definitely working harder. And so it did do the automatic compact. And when it compacted, I could see this drop back down to like 2 or 3%. So it feels different when I'm working with Claude. When it automatically compacts, I don't have evidence for this, but it feels like it gets to, like it fills up that context window way faster after compacting. So that pretty much covers it. Love Claude, love what it can do, but I have to be conscious and cautious of the context window and how much tokens I'm using. Codex, I have a great deal more freedom, especially even in high. I tend to use just medium mode to just, give it a task and work through the task with the Codex. And, it doesn't hit the maximum of the context window, just working like that. Whereas Claude, it very quickly hits that maximum and then it starts getting compressed, and then that's multiplying your token usage, and I feel like I have less freedom. So anyway, I hope this was interesting. Let me know in the comments if what your experience is like.